For SEL today, we're going to start with a book. It's called The Sandwich Swap. And this is a really interesting story. And it has an idea in the story that we're going to talk about today, talking about when something is not fair, when we have not been treated the right way because we're different. We're going to start with this book today. I want everybody focused on the book, thinking about what you could do to treat others fairly with kindness.
The Sandwich Swap by Her Majesty Queen Reina Al Abdallah with Kelly DePicchio, illustrated by Trisha Tissa, published by the Scholastic Book Company. It all began with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it ended with a hummus sandwich. Selma and Lily were best friends at school. They drew pictures together. They played on the swings together. They jumped rope together. And they ate their lunches together. But just what they ate was a little different. Lily ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch. Selma ate a hummus and pita sandwich every day for lunch. And although Lily never said it out loud, she thought Selma's sandwich looked weird and yucky. She felt terrible that her friend had to eat that icky chickpea paste every day. Ew, yuck. And although Selma never said it out loud, she thought Lily's sandwiches looked strange and gross. She felt just awful that her friend had to eat that gooey peanut paste every day. Ew, gross. Then one day, Lily just couldn't hold back those pesky thoughts any longer. "Your sandwich looks kind of yucky," she blurted out. "What did you say?" Selma asked, thinking she must have misunderstood her friend. "I said your sandwich looks yucky." Selma frowned. She looked down at the thin, soft bread, and she thought of her beautiful, smiling mother as she carefully cut Selma's sandwiches into 2 neat halves that morning. Her hurt feelings turned mad. "Yeah, well, your sandwich looks gross and it smells bad too," Selma snapped back. Lily looked surprised. She sniffed the thick, squishy bread, and she thought of her dad and his silly apron, whistling as he cut Lily's sandwiches into 2 perfect triangles that morning. Lily scowled. "It does not smell bad." "Does too. Ew, yuck. Ew, gross." That afternoon, the friends did not draw pictures together. They did not swing together. They did not jump rope together either. The next day, Selma ate her lunch at one table and Lily ate her lunch at another. Meanwhile, the peanut butter versus hummus story had spread, and everyone began choosing sides. Each side had something not so nice to say to the other. Peanut butter breath, jelly heads, garlic breath, chickpea brains. Pretty soon, the rude insults had nothing to do with peanut butter and hummus. "You're weird, you're stupid, you look funny, you dress dumb." And then it happened. Somebody yelled. Food fight. Peanut butter and hummus sandwiches and other lunch favorites began flying back and forth between both sides of the lunchroom. They stuck to the walls, they stuck to the ceiling, they stuck to the lunch lady. When the sandwiches were all gone, pudding cups and applesauce and carrot sticks took flight. Selma and Lily looked at one another from across the crowdy, splattered room. They both felt ashamed by what they saw. They both felt really ashamed when the principal called them into her office after they had helped clean up the mess. The following day, Selma set her lunch down across from Lily's. The 2 girls nibbled on their sandwiches in silence. Finally, Lily got up the courage to speak. "Would you like to try a bite of my peanut butter and jelly sandwich?" Salma grinned. Sure, why not? Would you like to try my hummus and pita? Lily laughed. I'd like that. On the count of three? Okay. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Yummy. Hey, this is delicious. And this is heavenly. The girls giggled and hugged and traded sandwiches. After lunch, Salma and Lily met with the principal again. This time, they were there to suggest a very special event for the whole school. And that's how it began, with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and ended up with a pita and hummus sandwich. The Sandwich Swap by Her Majesty Queen Reina Al Abdallah, with Kelly DePicchio, illustrated by Trisha Tessa, and published by the Scholastic Book Company.
All right, so we just heard a story about what can happen between two people when we don't feel like we're being treated fairly. So today in Seesaw, we're going to talk about this topic in our SEL lesson. You will click on Activities, Assign to Class folder, light blue SEL. Your task is called the Sandwich Swap. When you open your Seesaw task, you will see two slides. On slide number 1, it asks you a question. It says, what didn't each girl like about the other's lunch? We know that they had problems with what the other person was eating. What didn't they like? What was the problem? I want you to type your answer here, explaining what the girls didn't like about each other. We know that the girls did not like what each other were eating. They didn't like it because it was different. Sometimes this can happen to us too. On slide 2, it asks you to think about a time when you were treated unfair by a friend, a sibling, or any other family member because of a difference in your point of view, something you were interested in, or a life experience you've had. So let me say that in other words. Your job is to think about a time when you were being treated unfairly. We're going to go back into our breakout rooms and talk about a time when you feel like you were treated unfairly. You should have put an answer here describing a time when you feel like you were being treated unfairly. When you are done, boys and girls, you push the green check to turn it in. If you need to finish this later, you can push the orange draft, but you need to turn this in today. This can be part of your homework. Okay, I see a couple of questions.